In this next demonstration on creating a virtual machine, we're going to do something a little different. What we'll do is we'll first create a virtual switch that we're going to connect the virtual machine to. We will then create a differencing hard disk that will use an existing virtual hard disk and only store the changes made to that virtual hard disk. After we have created the switch and the virtual hard disk, we will then create a VM that attaches to that created switch and differencing hard disk. So we start in Hyper-V Manager. We select Virtual Switch Manager. We select Private. We select Create Virtual Switch. We give the virtual switch a name. In this case, we call it Contoso Private Switch. We make sure it's to a private network. We click OK, and that switch has been created. Next, we create a hard disk. We're creating a differencing hard disk here. So it's a VHD original disk, so we choose VHD and then we select differencing. We give the differencing disk the name SEA VM1 and then we select the folder that we want to store that disk in. Because we've chosen a differencing disk, we need to select the parent disk. So we navigate and we select baseimage.vhd. We click Finish. We then go New Virtual Machine, and this starts the virtual machine wizard. We give the virtual machine a name, SEAVM1. We specify the location where we want to store it, which is the C:\base directory. We go with a Generation 1 virtual machine. We set the RAM to 4096 megabytes, which is 4 gig. We connect it to the switch we just created, Contoso Virtual Switch. We select use an existing virtual hard disk and then select the differencing disk that we created, SEAVM1. We click Next and we click Finish. That goes off and creates the virtual machine. Now, we can look at the settings of that virtual machine and we can go to the memory settings and we can enable dynamic memory. That virtual machine, when powered on, will now use dynamic rather than a fixed amount of memory. We can also open Windows Admin Center, connect to SEA SVR1, and in the virtual machines node, we can see a summary and we can see the inventory of virtual machines on this server. So we've got 3 virtual machines. We can select the one we just created, SEA VM1. That opens the properties of that virtual machine. From the properties of that virtual machine, we can select the settings of that virtual machine. We can view the basic settings. We can go across and we can view the disks associated with that virtual machine. I can make that disk's pane larger. I can add disks, set the new disk size, for example, in this case 5 gig. Add an additional disk. Now, I'm not actually going to change the disks associated with that virtual machine, so I can delete the disks or simply click Discard Changes if I don't want to save those changes. I can go back to the general settings of the virtual machine. I can go to the memory settings and we can see here how memory is configured. I can also enable nested virtualization on this machine. And this is something that I can only do in Windows Admin Center or PowerShell. It's not something that I can do within the Hyper-V console. So all new feature functionality for virtual machines will be available in PowerShell and Windows Admin Center, but won't be backported to the Hyper-V Manager console. I select networks and I can see the network adapter that the virtual machine is connected to, and I can change that. I can also turn on VLAN IDs if I want to use VLANs with my particular virtual machine. So in this demonstration, prior to creating the virtual machine, I created a differencing hard disk and a virtual switch so that when I created the virtual machine, I could attach them to those pre-existing entities. I then showed you how to manage a virtual machine and configure the settings of a virtual machine using Windows Admin Center.